Shipments to the EU are becoming expensive. Tours now need years in advance. Entire branches of the economy were overlooked in the free trade agreement, and quite important ones at that. So Brexit is not going to go quite as smoothly as the British Prime Minister has promised. Anyone who is currently ordering goods from Great Britain over the internet, for example, may experience a nasty surprise at the front door a little later. There the messenger stands with a package in his hands and demands customs and import sales tax. Otherwise, the package will not be handed over. Actually, the EU and the Kingdom have agreed on a free trade agreement. In practice, however, there are gaps in the text of the contract, and entire sectors have not been taken into account. What is now taken revenge, of course. This is what happened to a Berlin businesswoman who ordered a costume and a wool sweater for a total of 879 euros on the website of the British fashion company Fold. When the parcel carrier rang, she was suddenly supposed to pay another 322.59 euros. No, take that with you again, was her answer. Now Fold has one less customer. The London office says that the brand has its garments made all over the world, including Asia. The place of manufacture is specified exactly in the export certificates that are now due from the United Kingdom to Germany. Therefore applies to a value of more than 150 euros more rules, unless products are made in the UK or in the EU duty supply. If you want to know exactly, you can have the costs calculated by the German Stiftung Warentest customs calculator, for example, if you understand German. The duty for textile clothing is added to the purchase price of, for example, 879 euros. That is 12% or 105 euros. That makes a total of 984 euros. Of this, the import sales tax of 19% is calculated, which means another 187 euros. This means that the original price comes to 293 euros plus processing fees. The crux of the matter, the Fold brand, like many British companies and online platforms, has actually agreed with Germany that customs and import sales tax will be paid by the British company, so that German customers do not have to bear any costs. But that doesn't always work. Then the paperwork starts with a reimbursement. Our customers in the EU are unsettled, is what Fold says. The group hopes that this will work out. Because if customers reject the package, the courier service will send it back to Great Britain. It's expensive for companies. Now the industry is putting pressure on it. Last week, the UK fashion industry sent a letter to Johnson and the UK Secretary of Culture, Home Secretary and Economy Secretary, signed by 450 members of the textile industry, designers and models. From the former mannequin Twiggy to the editor of Vogue, from model agencies to producers of big fashion shows, they all criticize the enormous gap in the free trade agreement with the EU. With a turnover of £35 billion, the industry contributes more to the gross domestic product than the fishing, music, film and automotive industries combined, employs 1 million people, and yet it was passed over in the negotiations. The payment of customs duties, import sales tax and fees make packages to the EU more expensive by 30%. This is overwhelming for medium-sized businesses, which are dependent on customers in the EU but cannot cope with the costs and bureaucratic effort. And if textile workers were not included in UK immigration law soon, thousands of jobs in the industry could not be filled. And because the free movement of people will be over with Brexit, or is already over with Brexit, models and photographers now have to apply for extra visas when traveling to the continent, for each EU country individually. Material, stages, decoration, and the dispatch of technical personnel. Everything now needs permits. This is a complete step backwards and has nothing to do with reality, it says in the letter. The first companies in the sector were preparing to open branches in the EU. Next, German customers will suddenly notice that there will be fewer theater shows, pop concerts and musicals, if that is possible again after the end of the pandemic. Because this industry, like the fashion industry, was left out in the free trade agreement. Since Boris Johnson did not want to make any concessions on the free movement of people, not even in exceptional cases in the art and culture industry, they were now struggling with the consequences. The British and London Theatre Association, the Association of British Orchestras, One Dance UK, and the Association of Musicians, they are all complaining to their government. The industry contributes £10.8 billion in sales to the UK's economy. Even the musicians, rock stars and orchestras, if they want to go on tour, each individually apply for visas and work permits for every EU country. Short work-stay visas are only valid for 90 days. A spontaneous European tour becomes an administrative nightmare. British cultural stars like Elton John led the protest campaign. Nick Grace, who, for example, is based in London on the theatre production of Mamma Mia, organized in 111 cities for 41 countries around the world, can't plan. It takes years of lead time to create a smooth schedule for theatre tours. How's that supposed to work out with 27 different EU work permits for all employees and additional difficulties with importing materials? Great Britain didn't want to enter into special agreements with the EU with regard to the cultural sector that exists with other countries. For a big show, Grace needs 24 semi-trailers with material from shipping companies specializing in the industry. Now they have to cross the border into the EU and then from town to town. The consequence is the next shows are planned for 2023 at the earliest, and even then it's not clear how it should work. Julian Bird of the Association of London Theatres hopes the free trade agreement will be revised at some point. He also notices that the first companies are considering opening branches in Dublin in order to control tours in the EU from there. We can only be happy that Corona has left us empty theatres and music halls, as terrible as it is for the industry, says Bird. Had everything been booked out, it would have been a disaster to have to cancel and reorganize everything. And the problem is not surprising. Bird and his colleagues have long warned Downing Street and the London ministries about Brexit. But it was a political choice to focus on sovereignty. It was this so-called line in the sand over which nothing was allowed to go, says Bird. It is all the sadder where we are now. And for the fashion industry, there will be no changes because a rule of origin will stay for a third country. Just saying. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel and to my other channels. I'll see you in my next video. Auf Wiedersehen.